and things that is happening in the world. We want to start by, talking a little bit about Whoopi Goldberg, who's a very popular host of a popular TV show program that is being hosted on ABC in the United States. Recently, she made comments about the Holocaust that was not received very well, and a lot of people were upset. And we don't want to go into the details of what it means, what the Holocaust meant, what it means to be Jewish or not. I think the broader point I want to talk about here is the cancel culture, which seems to be happening quite a bit. Have you had an experience, or have you seen it on the rise? Have you seen the rise of cancel culture recently?
I think cancel culture is something that I think everybody should be talking about, because it's happening all of us. It's happening every day. I mean, we could think about Dave Chappelle, and what people try to do to him. We could think even about Kevin Hart. I know he made a few homophobic comments long time ago. So there's a long list of people who are being cancelled for either their views or their opinions about certain topics. I think there's a whole lot of sensitivity nowadays about how people view things, and there is a worry and a fear, I would say, for most people. To comment or to express their views, which is, I mean, how do you?
It's tricky.
Which is tricky.
It almost feels like you have to be walking on eggshells when you're talking to a particular group of people. You have to be very careful on how you articulate your ideas. And even if people can dig up your social media from 10 years ago, you still get into trouble. That is very awful to a part of the world where they seem to be propagating free speech.
I mean, if you were running for political office, for example, I would say, yes, I would want to go back and do a background search and see, so I can determine what your views are, world views are about certain issues. But if you are a comedian, for example, or if you're just an ordinary man on the street, why would I care what you? I mean, I should care, but in most cases, why should I go back and bring up something you did 10 years ago to castigate you 10 years later? It really
that speaks like people change over time. There's no way the way I was thinking 10 years ago is the way I'm thinking right now. I think my ideas have evolved, they've changed. I've had different experiences, and then it influences the way I think now. And for people to probably, I'm not that popular, but for people to go back to people's history 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and say, oh, you said the N-word, or you were insultive to Jews, or
to women,
or you're transphobic and whatever, and then they cancel you for what you're doing now. I find that very ridiculous.
It is. I mean, it is ridiculous. For some, I mean, some would argue that it makes sense for people to be cancelled if they went. But again, the point is, who makes the rules? Who decides who gets cancelled and for what reason? Because there's some sort of there's kind of a double standards. Sometimes people are given the benefit of the doubt and they are forgiven and accepted. Other times people are cancelled for the same reasons. And they are not. It's not level playing ground. People are not treated the same, because again, who makes the rules? Who decides who gets cancelled, right?
And I feel like there's also a political component to this. If you are if you are more conservative leaning, you have a harsher time on social media.
Exactly.
Like it's like people are cancelled for saying that men are not women.
No, people are cancelled for defining a sex or gender for what they think it is,
right?
Or for defining marriage for what they think it is, based on my religion. For example, I'm Christian. My Christian religion defines marriage as a union between a man and a woman. But if I went, I'm saying this in public now, but if I say this and insist that is what that is how I would define marriage, most people would find that unacceptable.
Right.
But again, that is me. That's my religion. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. You could feel differently. It doesn't mean that because I think it's between a man and a woman, I will not accept or recognize a marriage between same-sex couple. No, I do recognize that, but to me, based on my religion and my background, this is how I see marriage to be, right?
Yeah.
And people don't like that.
And it's so sad that we are supposed to have a place. We're supposed to be in a place where people are supposed to freely express how they feel about certain things, and I don't think the solution to someone's idea is less speech or cancel them. I think it's more speech. You're supposed to, if somebody says something that you don't agree with, counteract them with a logical argument, And what I see now is just emotions all over the place. People are saying, oh, you cannot say that. So we're going to scrap out all your hard work that you've done, sometimes for decades, because you don't agree with what the current ideology is. I think we have gone so far. We have, I mean, there are genuine issues that need to be addressed, right? Like,
but I think the question is, how do you resolve the issue, or how do you educate? I know some people say it's not my role to educate you. You need to go educate yourselves. But how do we have a conversation with someone if we will not even allow them to express themselves? Yeah. How does the conversation start? If people are worried and afraid to say what they think and how they feel about an issue.
It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I think, like, why do you feel like, and what is really surprising is the people who think they set themselves up to be fighting for a particular group of oppressed people. And then in that, when they set up themselves in that position, then they begin to throw out buzzwords just to silence you or to cancel you. Or you hear words like homophobic, you hear words like transphobic, you begin to hear words like racist or white supremacist or any form of ism, just to categorize you to a particular position, so they can dismiss, right? So they can clearly dismiss what you're saying. And when they put you in that position, it's easy now to just galvanize the mob to be able to say, no, we can easily cancel.
Because how do you even defend yourself when someone is
already categorized you,
that
right?
You are homophobic, or someone says that you are racist?
Exactly.
How do you begin to explain or defend yourself about that characterization, right? It becomes difficult, and it becomes hard to have a conversation, as opposed to maybe starting by, hey, could you explain? Can you explain what you just said? Could you expatiate? Could you tell me a little bit more? How did you get to this conclusion? No, they don't give you the opportunity to have that conversation. They put you in a box, and everyone
is just supposed to castigate you. And even if you don't agree with them in castigating someone, they come against you too. It's just like you are not supposed to have a fair mind and be open to arguments and listen the pros and cons of a particular point of view. You have to just join the crowd and say, no, we hate this person for what they say. And it's really ridiculous. A lot of people have lost their jobs, lost their careers because of that, which is sad.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, in fear of losing their jobs and their careers, have decided to be mute.
Yeah, don't say what they really think, right?
They would never say what they really think. They would say what
everyone is
expecting them to say, and never fully express themselves, right? Which to me is like it's the limit. It's a limitation of your ability to speak freely, because
and think critically
because nobody wants you to be thinking. People want you to regurgitate what they're telling you, right? Which is really sad.
And that speaks to how our institutions are nowadays. They're just a machine to create ideologues. There are no institutions that are, I'm talking particularly about universities. There are no places where you go to learn how to think critically.
But it used to be.
It used to be
a place where people would come with different opinions and have debates
and stuff like that.
And learn and get out of university with a very critical mind, right? But nowadays, I don't think that's the place. Universities are not necessarily the place to come debate. It's a place where you come and get ideologies and learn whatever it is.
If you go to university and just say you're not a feminist, you're against feminism, they're going to cast you out. Especially if you're a professor, they're just going to. If you look at what is happening with Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's very prominent behavioral psychologist, Canadian, and you guys should check out his videos on YouTube, and you can understand what I'm talking about more. But yeah, there's quite a bit to talk about cancel culture. I guess we're wondering what you guys think. You can comment and share your ideas, what you think about the cancel culture, and you will be having more of these short videos and to express our opinions on things. Hopefully, we're not cancelled too.
This is just an expression of opinion.
Yeah, we're not saying our opinion is a bid or an end of it all of everything.
No.
You know, it's just
It's just starting a conversation, right? Having you people think about, what they call cancel culture nowadays, and thinking about how people are able to express themselves. Again, go back and watch Whoopi Goldberg's video, or go back to Dave Chappelle and go to Netflix. I think that's where the show ran, and listen to
Jordan Peterson too.
Listen to what he said.
Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, Joe Rogan too. That's I think that's a big one. Recently.
That's a big one now because he used the N word 10 years ago. People are trying to cancel him. And mind you, that guy is right now. He's very popular than mainstream media. He's very popular than CNN. He's very popular than Fox. He has more views than those people right now.
He has a podcast and he's having millions of views, turning and making millions of dollars.
Yeah, and people are trying to cancel him for what he said 10 years ago. 10 years ago. I wonder what we were 10 years ago. Anyways, please join us on the comment section and let us know what you think.